What jobs will survive the AI apocalypse? I asked ChatGPT. I know that's ironic, but it gave me skilled trades, healthcare workers. That's nonsense. Healthcare workers are done unless you're like some kind of brain surgeon for now. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather get my diagnosis from an AI. Even the doctors are like, you ask them like, what's going on with me? I got this, I got that. And the doctor's like, oh, just give me a second. He goes to his computer. He's like GPTing it, you know? AI is just gonna be better. It's gonna be better. And there should be some kind of national database where all of our anonymized health data goes to create this kind of AI for health. And that will be that will be a huge industry in the future. Will be this disruption in healthcare. I tweeted this a while ago. I X'd this. I posted this, which is that healthcare is in desperate need of its own, like Elon Musk. If you say like, who's leading healthcare? Who? Like when you think automobiles, you think Elon. When you think computers, you think like Bill Gates. When you thought hardware, you thought Steve Jobs. Who is leading healthcare? This is one of the biggest segments of the market, all this money being generated in healthcare, and yet no one's really disrupting it. It is so ripe for disruption. Healthcare is going to be on the chopping block. GPT went on to say, education and childcare. No, education's done. Have you been in a modern classroom? The kids are just on AI all day long. It's done, it's over with. You're going to have an AI tutor, everyone's going to have an AI tutor. In fact, I'm going to make a whole separate video about the future of education. Creative professions, writing, filmmakers, game designers, musicians, entrepreneurs. Yeah, maybe somewhat. It's going to be a consolidation. One person's going to be able to do the writing, the filmmaking, the game design. I'm the living proof. Okay, I'm a solo game developer. I'm an independent game developer. You can go through my videos. You'll see I got a game on the MetaQuest store called Optimum. I did it myself. I began before AI, but then after AI came, it just kind of ignited the whole process. Leadership in human-centered roles. Well, Algeria, is it Algeria? Albania? One of these countries. They just go Google it. They elected their first AI. They didn't even elect him. It was just the prime minister like put this AI in charge. There's now an AI in charge in Algeria, Albania, one of these countries. Go Google it. One of the things about me is I don't like memorize stuff. I get the gist of stuff because I'm well aware that I've got this computer in front of me and I can just, like, as long as I remember enough of it, I can just Google more, you know? Maybe you're the same way. I feel like it's better that way. Like then I'm not clogging up my brain with all this useless memorized stuff and I can just memorize the gist of things. And so I was talking to GPT and I'm like, yeah, this is all nonsense. Listen, what about landowners? What about car fleet owners? What about robot fleet owners? What about influencers? I know you're gonna laugh. Oh, get a real job. Influencers is a real job. I got a friend on TikTok who goes to the beach and he makes videos of sea life at the beach and he makes like $100,000 a month. Okay, is that not a real job? It is. I got another friend who makes squirrel videos. He became my mutual. If you don't know what a mutual is, when you friend each other back. When I had 80K followers on TikTok and he had like 100 followers, but I follow everyone back, right? And this guy makes these videos where he feeds the squirrels. He's in his 60s. He feeds the squirrels in his yard. That's all he does. He makes like a couple of these videos every single morning. And I followed him back and he has been blowing up. He's now at 80,000 followers too. He's gonna have 1 million followers eventually. And he's getting like 1 million views a video. And he just does it for fun. He didn't do this because he thought he'd become famous. He just does it because he enjoys feeding his squirrels. And funny story, turns out he lives nearby and I went and visited him, my wife and I, and we helped feed the squirrels. I actually made a video about it. I haven't posted it yet, but I probably will. That was really fun. So what's gonna survive the AI apocalypse? You've got, not podcasters. AI can be a podcaster. What I'm doing right now, I'm talking really fast because I don't want to waste any time and blah, 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 blah. This is done. AI can do this better. Google's got this product called Notepad. notebook, something like that. LM. It does this better than I do it. You just feed it a bunch of data. But what AI can't do better than me yet is run Optimum College, which means that you pay $150 a month, and $100 of that goes into a funding pool, and then the members vote every month on who gets the funding to fund their project. So that's why I'm talking about this, because what can you fund, right? So we could talk about that, but let me just go on here for a second. You've got landowners, you got car fleet owners, basically the people who own the means of production. One of the things that always bothered me about communism and socialism is this idea that the workers are going to own the means of production. You don't think Elon Musk is a worker? Listen, take your political thoughts out of this. I know everyone's got their opinions on Elon, okay? I get it, I totally get it. But just think, try and leave emotion at the door. Is he not a worker? Yeah, he works. Have you ever seen his flight schedule? He's like, his plane is going, he works nonstop. He really, like, just facts. He's a worker. He's owning the means of production. Like, what do you mean own the means of production? Like, I used to work at this oyster farm. I was an oyster farmer for a summer. Like last year I did this. And I was just Googling every job near me. And there was an oyster farm, and I looked at the website, and it's so beautiful. It's on the ocean, and there's bald eagles. I saw 20 bald eagles at once because they sit on the beach and they eat the oysters, right? 20 bald eagles. I took video of it. It's amazing. I think it's on my feed even. And the owner works. He's there every day working. He's a worker too. Like, what do you mean own the means of? But the owners usually work. My dad used to own a summer camp. He owned it and he worked. Like, yeah, there are some companies where the owner doesn't really work and they hire someone else to do it, but like, I got a company, I make sports equipment, I manufacture sports equipment, I'm working, I own it. What do you mean own the means of production? I don't get it. But at Optimum, pay $150 a month, $100 goes into funding, and we fund your project. Then you too can own the means of production. So people who own these things, people who own like a robotic car fleet, that's gonna be big in the future. Bookmark that, save that. There will be people who own robotic fleets of like Teslas. People who own fleets of robots that go and do landscaping and stuff like that. And yeah, plumbing. So GPT said the trades, electrician, plumber, carpenter. Yeah, those are safe for now. AI's decimating the white collar trades first, which is kind of interesting. But right now, electrician, plumber, carpenter, these are safe for the next 10 years or so. But wait until robotics has its GPT moment where a robot can update itself over the cloud from the collective knowledge of every other robot, and they're gonna accelerate so quick, it's gonna make your head spin, really. Seriously, there's gonna be an app store for these robots. No one has announced this, but I'm saying it, so it's gonna be true, because pardon my language, I'm a prophet. I'm essentially a prophet. Trust me. I said, when I first saw these robots, I said, hey, why don't you train these with VR? And then like months later, it was like, yeah, we're training them with VR. It's like, I knew you would. The next thing, bookmark this, that face you see on the Optimus, that'll be a touch screen. No one said it yet, but it's gonna be true. It's gonna happen because I say it. And when I say things, they happen. That face will be a touch screen. It will be a face that will, like that black mask you see on the Optimus robot, that's gonna be a screen. It will be a digital face, and the digital face will also, because it's a screen, it can show anything. It could show blueprints, it could show diagrams, and it's gonna also be a touch screen. You'll see. You'll see. No one's announced it, but I say it, and so it's gonna be true. And something else that I say that's gonna be true is that there will be a robot app store. Okay, you can train your robot. Let's say you've got a really specialized skill, like you do underwater basket weaving really well. You're gonna be able to train your robot through VR or something, and then you'll be able to sell that skill on the App Store. And once that happens, you get this multiplying effect, and everyone's gonna be selling their skills, and you're gonna load up all these skills, and it's gonna accelerate so fast, it's gonna make your head spin. And what else? Yeah, see. Maybe I don't have to talk nonstop. I'll use AI to cut out the pauses. That way I can really think about what I'm saying rather than being like, blah, 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 like an auctioneer, right? I like that. I'll try that. So the people who own the means of production, those will be the big winners in the future, okay? Because you aren't just yourself, you're also what you own. When people talk about your skills, what are your skills? It's not just your skills, it's also the skill set of what you own. This is deep. This is very deep. I'm giving some clues here. People who own land, people who own things. Again, Optimum College, we can buy up a bunch of stuff. World takeover. World takeover. Influencers will be a job. People say, influencers is a job. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. When I was growing up, I wanted to make video games. Okay? And people told me that's not a real job, that's for kids. And I was like, you don't understand. Video games, this was back in, I'm 42 years old. So this is when I first saw Super Mario. I wanted to be a video game developer. Back in, 1980, what was it, 5 or something? What was I, 2? No, I was very young. So young I barely could talk. And I want to do that, I want to do that. People thought it was a joke. And then I believed them because they were adults. And shouldn't they know better than me? And I should have listened to my heart. Really, what you feel in your heart right now, maybe you're like, I'm really attracted to brain rot memes. Yeah, I want to be a brain rot meme maker when I grow up. I promise you, that will be a job. Okay? Brain rot, you're gonna make brain rot memes. Get really good at it. It'll be a job. And I'm telling you, that's ridiculous. I don't watch brain rot memes. I think that's dumb. I think that's silly. Okay? But I promise, if you really feel it, you're gonna prove me wrong. And you're gonna be like $1 billion brain rot meme maker. Okay? Yeah. Influencer is definitely a job. Filmmakers, you can use AI to make films. Anybody can make a Hollywood quality movie. You can get VO3. Or there's a whole bunch of with keyframes, and you can put words in their mouths and stuff like that. I've been experimenting with it because I want to make a movie out of my video game, Optimum. I've got a script for this video game, Optimum. Oh, it's so good. I really think that this movie, Optimum, would be the biggest blockbuster of all time. Now, I don't have the funding, I don't have the name recognition of someone like James Cameron. James Cameron took like 20 years to make Avatar, by the way. And the script for it was I read the script for it like 10 years before Avatar even came out because he wrote it as a kid and it was on the internet, it had leaked. It's taking a while to make the Optimum movie, but I'll tell you what, it would be like biggest movie of all time. And we're gonna fund it. So $150 from every membership, $50 goes back to Optimum College to fund Optimum projects like the Optimum movie. And you get 10%, because that's how it works. When you get your project funded at Optimum College, 10% goes back to the membership, okay? Makes sense? So if we make the highest grossing movie of all time, 10% goes back to the membership. The Optimum movie, oh my gosh, should I just talk about that? I kind of just want to talk about the Optimum movie. Okay, so what makes the Optimum movie? Sure, why not? There's no rules here, I'm the boss, I'm in charge. What makes the Optimum movie so cool? I'll tell you. There are several paradigm shifts in this movie. Like The Matrix. What really made The Matrix so cool was the bullet time and this idea that your mind is in a machine, right? And like that was it. Like those were the paradigm shifts. And it went on to be one of the most celebrated movies of all time. Simple, right? There are several of those paradigm shifts. They all like stack with the Optimum story. First of all, you got this idea that you put on this headset, this main character whose name is Emmanuel David. He's the main character. And oh gosh, I just tell you the whole story? Sure, why not? Emmanuel David is this poor working class guy, and he starts having these dreams, okay? Emmanuel David starts having these dreams that he's about cryptocurrency, okay? And what crypto to buy. And he has this dream about a crypto in particular, buy this crypto. And he's like, okay, the dream is so clear. And the dream comes true. So like he has the dream before the crypto is even announced. And then when the crypto is announced, he's like, that's just like my dream. And he buys it. He becomes one of the wealthiest men alive, right? And now, fun fact, I bought Bitcoin in 2013. You do the math. Okay, I'm not like insanely wealthy or anything, but this is somewhat inspired by me, okay? So Emmanuel buys this crypto. He becomes one of the richest men alive. He gives most of it away because Emmanuel David, who lives in like the mid 20th century, 21st century, 20th century, we're in the 21st century now, right? He lives in like the mid 21st century, so this is slightly futuristic. And he becomes one of the richest men alive. He also has this condition where when he sees the homeless, which has just gotten out of control in his universe. And just as I tell this story, just bear with me, okay? Because there's a lot to this game, and it just stacks and stacks and gets more and more epic. So, he lives in this dystopian world where the homeless are out of control, as in there's just homeless everywhere. It's like this two-class civilization. And it makes him sick. He gets nauseous every time he sees the homeless. Not because he thinks they're gross, but because of the suffering, because of the poverty. And he has this like visceral reaction to it. And he gets diagnosed with toxic empathy, which is like not the scientific name in this universe, but that's like the cultural name. Oh, you've got toxic empathy. Are you woke? You're too woke. Your mind has been brain rotted by wokeism. It's like that. They call it toxic empathy. Oh, you care about the homeless. You've got toxic empathy. So he's got a bad case of toxic empathy. He can't even walk by the homeless without going home and like throwing up. He doesn't think they're gross. It's like, how can we live in this world? But then very rapidly he becomes one of the richest men alive because of these dreams. And he starts giving his money out to people and helping in building a new world, creating jobs for people and things like that, and creating services and building properties for people. And then he starts having more dreams. And these dreams are telling him to build this machine called the upload. And so he starts building this machine, the most expensive science experiment in history. It's like a giant, I've got it in my head. How do I explain this? It's like a giant centrifuge, kind of like a particle collider, but it's like a sphere. It's like this giant centrifuge, huge, massive, like tens of kilometers, hundreds of kilometers, massive. He's kind of well known, right? He even gets hauled in front of Congress to explain what he's doing, and especially after these earthquakes start happening around the centrifuge. He doesn't know. He's invited onto podcasts and stuff and like explain who you are and stuff. Something else about Emmanuel David, he's got birthmarks. Okay, he's a Middle Eastern kind of guy, and he's got birthmarks. Is it vertigo? What is it called when you've got the skin condition that Michael Jackson had, where it's like your skin is white and it looks like tears. It looks like he's got tears, okay? Because you gotta make it epic. You gotta give him something that really stands out. To make the character truly legendary, he has to be immediately recognizable. Like, oh, that's Emmanuel. Whenever you see the figurine or the picture of him or whatever, you're like, oh, it's Emmanuel. So Emmanuel has got these tears because his skin is like bleached, and it's on his hands too, and on his side. You see where I'm going with this? Okay, so he's got, and if you don't see where I'm going with this, the name should have been the first giveaway. Emmanuel David. What does that conjure up for you? Nothing? Read more, my friend. Become a man of culture like me. And he's also got the skin condition. And he's got these like, his skin's like bleached white around his eyes and his hands and his side. And he builds this machine, the Upload. He does it, and he's explaining on a podcast. And they're like, what are you're funding the most expensive science experiment in history. What does it do? He's like, I don't know. I have these dreams, this whole vision, this whole path, buying the crypto, becoming rich, like giving the money away, building the Upload. I saw this in dreams and it just comes true. Podcast host is like, man, it sounds like you got help from a higher power. And Emmanuel is like, I don't believe in that stuff. No. But it's wild, right? It's wild. And the dreams end when Emmanuel turns that machine on. Okay, this is just the intro to the movie. This is just the intro. Okay? He turns the machine on. He has to link into it. It's this giant centrifuge with him at the center. And he's linked up, every nerve of his body is like linked into this machine. He's completely wired into this giant centrifuge. And he turns it on, boom, like creates this giant electromagnetic field around it. You can't wear metal within the vicinity because you get torn to pieces, right? There's cars in the parking lot. They're like moving because of the giant electromagnetic field created by this device. And his eyes like roll back and he's sucked into his being. His soul, his spirit is like, whoosh, it collapses into himself. Okay, and he's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I think the universe is a fractal, right? So it's kind of like this. He's getting smaller and smaller into the fractal universe. And he's like, his ghost spirit, his like atomized spirit created of like star particles is like zooming past these stars as he's getting smaller and smaller into the cells of his own being, past the DNA of his own being, deeper and deeper at the quantum level. And there's other machines inside of the fractal. These centrifuges are floating in space and he's shooting through these. It's a network that's been built by other civilizations. These dreams were a message from another civilization to build the link to the network. This network that connects every timeline. So he's getting sucked deeper into this cosmic celestial network and being sucked into these other space centrifuges and shot in different directions as he's shooting throughout the timelines of the fractal universe until he gets 3D printed by this other civilization. That's how it works. Okay, the technology is called cognitive entanglement. I invented this, right? Cognitive entanglement. It's not particle entanglement, it's nothing like that. It's not quantum entanglement, this is cognitive entanglement. He's entangling his consciousness across the fractal universe. All these blueprints were given to him in his dreams. And he gets 3D printed onto the spaceship that I call the Pantheon. And it's like, have you seen The Fifth Element where was it Lilo, something like that? Lilu, she gets printed, 3D printed. Like that's how they do it, okay? They 3D print your body and then it's like, he like wakes up on the Pantheon in this other time and place. Because as you go deeper into the fractal, you're actually traveling into the future. I talked about this in another video. Anyway, should I just spoil it? Turns out that these dreams were given to him by the light bringer, fallen angel, a seraphim. Okay, but these are alien beings. The beings of the Bible were aliens. They kind of transcend, they're multi-dimensional. It kind of transcends even the concept. When we typically think about alien, they're so advanced that it breaks our even concept of alien, right? They're seraphim. They're cosmic deity. They're not gods per se, but they're like cosmic creatures. The light bringer. Do you know who the light bringer is? Become a man of culture, please, or a woman of culture. So he gets 3D printed And he was lured here by the light bringer. You want to call him Lucifer? Do you know what Lucifer means? It means light bringer. But these are human words. His name isn't really Lucifer. It's not Beelzebub. It's not Satan. Satan is just a word that means adversary. He's got some real name that you can't even speak with a human language. And Emmanuel has been brought to this other time and space because he has been selected to be a guardian of his world, to compete for the seat of life in combat. Now it's kind of like Mortal Kombat, okay? This is fundamentally a martial arts story. This is a fighting story. He's been selected as a guardian of his world to compete for the seat of life in accordance with cosmic law. The guardians of the universe have been brought together. Athena, Hercules, Metatron, Archangel Michael, deities and the fallen and demons from every timeline, every cultural touchstone have all been brought together to compete in combat. And that is really the summary. If I say any more, I'd really be spoiling it. Okay, but there are many more twists and turns that are so epic. The ending of Optimum is so off the walls epic. It is so outrageously epic. I'm not talking about because usually it's like when you got a bunch of filmmakers together, writers and stuff, they're like, we gotta have this huge battle, the two armies, and they go, oh, and they charge each other. That's epic. That's dull. That's predictable. That's predictable. The final battle of Optimum is a 1v1 fight between the Lightbringer and Emmanuel David. But what happens in the battle is so epic. Emmanuel David is, of course, just a vessel because if you can go lower, you can also go higher, and the higher can come lower. Emmanuel David is just a vessel for someone on a higher dimension than his own. It's so epic, dude. And there's love stories with Athena and Lilith. Athena famously never had a love, right? But maybe she will in the Optimum universe. Maybe Athena will finally find love. It's so epic, oh my gosh. Anyway, what was I talking about? I don't want to spoil too much. It's so good. So how do you make money? In the AI apocalypse, what's interesting to me is you go into a comic book store and there's so many kids growing up saying, I want to write comic books. And their parents say, no, Jimmy, that's not a real job. Writing comic books, and this is like when I was talking about video games. So many kids grow up reading comic books. I want to write comic books. Their dad is like, no, Jimmy, that's not a real job. You can't write comic books for a living. But if you go to a comic book store, do you know how many comic books there are that you've never even heard of that's still people buy? Like if you want to work in the comic industry, there's going to be a job for you. There are so many, there's like thousands of comics that you've never even heard of. And yet they all find a market somehow. What's going on here? They print the money. The money's not real. The economy's fake. The people in charge of the economy, they just want people to be productive, because if you're not productive, then you uprise and it becomes a French Revolution. So they just print the money and they give the money out. And they think of all these clever ways to obfuscate what they're actually doing. But what they're actually doing is just printing money. It's fake. It's not real. But the objective of the system is that you should be able to follow your heart's desire. So do what your heart desires. There will be a job for you. Make your brain rot memes. There will be a job. Figure it out. And of course, a UBI would help because it's like oil in an engine. UBI would be like oiling an engine. And without the oil in the engine, it starts to wear and break apart. That's what we're seeing in our civilization. So there should be a UBI, because if you do want to become a comic book artist, how do you even get to where you're going, right? You need money just to travel. You need money just to play the game. So money should be injected to every person individually like a lubricant. This is one of the visions of Optimum. The idea is that we give 10% of our gains back to the membership, so it's kind of like a UBI, until everyone on Earth is an optimist. Will that really happen? I have no idea, but it's fun to think about, right? And if there's a will, there's a way, I suppose. I'm drinking tea. Anyway, what jobs will there be in the future? Whatever your heart calls for, those are the jobs. Whatever you dream, if you dream it, they will come. Okay, is that enough for today? Okay.